Welcome along to EXFL Tier 2 Season 11. We are here for round 1 of 20 at Albert Park. And it is pouring down at Australia. We've got 12 people for tonight. Quite a lot on vacation or holidays. So in the next coming weeks, they'll obviously increase. But yeah, for a wet-infested qualifying, not sure about the race. But the main thing is, yes, the EXFL is back on F1 25, Tier 1 and Tier 2. And that is quite the downpour start. As, let's see, the Sauber heading out onto the track. But in front of him is the RB of Bluey. There we go, Samurai's back. Hang on. They look mainly full wet conditions, but someone might try a gamble with the Inters. Right, so let me take you through the changes to the grid. Who we have today, who's not here today. There are in total 22 drivers for Tier 2 at the moment this season. The two reserves are GSRL Alfie and that F1 boy, or Abra as he's known. Our grid, though, starting off with the Constructors' Champions from last season with Ferrari. We have Dello moving from Sauber to Ferrari. Alongside him is Yonder, but he is not racing today or next week. He'll be back for round 3. For Sauber, all new lineup, all debut new lineup with IGTC, Josh in the Sauber, followed by our second Charlie of the tier, and hopefully they'll have a good debut. Moving on to Aston Martin, we have Chaz F1, who's not racing today, should be back next week. Alongside him is Evan returning, Lugovic 09's brother, the Tier 2 Season 8 World Champion. 1.5 years later, his little brother now back in the Aston Martin. And he should be, well, he said he's hyped for tonight, so hopefully he can do well. I'm sure quite a lot will be able to score points today. Moving on to Mercedes, we have Eggy, Tier 2's newest race winner, staying where he is for the 3rd season in a row. The German in the German team. And can this be his season to prosper? Can he take it to the top? If you remove everyone we promoted last season of Josh Hewitt, Sam, Drifting, Stelios, Alejandro, you are left with Eggy being first. And then Chubster would be second. And actually, Chubster is Eggy's teammate. So Mercedes have a very strong lineup. Chubster unfortunately not racing today, but hopefully we'll be back next week or the week after. We have a yellow, I believe that's Samurai. I'll get on to him in a minute. On to Haas. No Haas drivers for today, but Adam has stayed where he is, and Warren has moved from Aston Martin to the Haas team. Red Bull, we have Noah, who's not racing tonight. Got some surgery going on or something. And our third debutant and final debutant of the grid for today, it's Graham, or Groosh, in the Red Bull. On to Williams. Yes, Samurai, who was in Tier 1 last season, has been demoted to Tier 2, so we should see him a lot further up on the grid. He looks great in the Williams. He was in the Williams last season in Tier 1, so let's see what he can do. Martin, hopefully he will have a great season. And alongside him is going to be another debutant, hopefully making his debut next week or the week after, of Kobe. On to McLaren. Very interesting lineup of Frosty Life and Christian. Christian stays where he is, of course, but Frosty's moved from Haas to McLaren. He's never raced for McLaren before, and he's certainly going to be a favourite considering the momentum he picked up at the end of last season as well. On to Alpine, as IGTC sets the benchmark then, 36-2. On to Alpine. Birdie Saints has stayed where he is at the Alpine team, and he spins at the last corner exit, and that's going to be damage for him. As across the line, Navek by 5 seconds now goes ahead of IGTC. Looks like they're just trying to get to grips with the track. Birdie, obviously, with wing damage, will have a slower lap time. But yeah, he stays where he is at Alpine. And actually, the last two teams have retained their driver lineup. It's Birdie and Adam, who's still looking for his first points, who will hopefully race next week. And then the lovable duo of the two RBs, Bluey and Nathan. like I said, they've retained their lineup. Alpine have retained their lineup. 9th and 10th. Obviously, 1st to 8th have all changed theirs, at least with one driver. But yeah, as for today, Navek leading by quite the pace. Look at that, 5 seconds. So Navek really on the ball there, but can anyone else actually get a solid lap time in? Dello and Frosty still in the pits as Frosty heads into turn 1. Charlie and Bluey on their outlaps. Samurai 53.3 in the middle. Grush come around the final corner on the intermediates. And Christian invalid in the first sector. Let's see what Grush can do. 52 for the middle sector. So across the line for Grush. 2.4 seconds down. At the moment, Navek doing really strongly. At the moment. I'm trying to remember myself. There was a wet qualifying on Sunday I did. And I'm pretty sure the times there were 28s, 29s. So that is a really good time from Navek. He's coming around the final corner again. And I believe he'll be going again. Samurai goes 3rd. These were not the kind of gaps we were thinking. As obviously this is the bit of the important qualifying session. All the unknowns, all the questions usually would get answered in the first. But I believe it's going to take a few weeks when everyone's fully done at least a race to see what the order will look like. So this one could be a complete unknown. Like last season, to be honest. Last season's opening race was a bit more of an unknown. Come the race, qualifying, it was very clear who was going to do well and whatnot. As the top 2 on the front row ended up being the top 2 in the championship. But yeah, this is very promising from Navek. And look at that, he's finding even more time. I don't know if Inters are the right tyre for these conditions. And I still don't know what the conditions are like for the race. Got a yellow of, I believe that's Charlie. Let's look at Frosty Life. What's he doing? So diving into turn 1 then. On a wet-infested Albert Park. Struggling to get the power down as he slides through turn 2. And now anywhere you can use battery. Blast it all. Heavy braking into turn 3. Massive bump on the inside now to avoid. And then what would usually be a lot quicker through 4 and then 5. You're definitely going to have to back off and maybe even brake for. You can see the wall is so much closer now. And there's very little room for error. First sector then, 32.9. Diving it right. As Navek goes even quicker. But Samurai, 1.4 behind now. Carrying on with Frosty. This is where he can blast all his battery. And should be confident enough to go flat out through the kinks of the middle sector. It really is just one corner. Heading up to the fast chicane then, 53.0. And he's turned in very early that he's had to correct himself. Going down to gear 4 when it should be at least 6th in the dry. Blasting any little battery he has left as the next few corners aren't going to require it. Heavy braking into a 90-degree corner, very close to the grass. And he's just got 3 corners to navigate then as across the line for Eggy to go P4. Obviously in the wet, the gaps are going to be much bigger. And then one final corner left for the sliding McLaren, trying to push as hard as he can to find any little time. He's kept it valid. And we'll see what he can do. He's already passed Navek's time. It's going to be a 1 minute 33.8 to put himself P4. Very strong stuff from Navek and Samurai, to be fair. Apparently Charlie did 2 purples and then he spun. So he's still got some pace left in his car. As it looks like Navek is heading into the pits then. Samurai as well. Grush still on the only one still on Inters. Dello's out there now. Heading through the final couple corners. Let's see what he can do. Bit of a promotion for him in terms of Ferrari powered engines. Going from Sauber to the works Ferrari team. And we'll see what he can do. Looks like a solid lap so far. It's going to be good enough for 4th. As look at that, Grush did go up to 2nd on the Inters. So maybe that'll catch a few people's eyes of which one might be better. And look, you can see at this stage, it does look like the Inters are better with the amount of, well, with the little amount of rain there is now. So I wouldn't be surprised if others do try the intermediates. Yeah, it definitely looks Inters now. At the start, it looked full wet. So we might see a few others. Dello's found another 10th. Frosty's down. Josh is invalidated. What about Birdie then? He's invalidated as well. He was a second up, 1.3 seconds up. Yeah, here we go. Charlie's on the inters. So let's see what Charlie can do then. He said he had 2 purples, then spun at that 90-degree corner that we saw. Let's see what we can do this time round. 7 minutes 40 left on the clock. Diving into turn 1 then for the debutant. Taking it very nicely indeed. No signs of struggle, at least until there on the exit. And you can see just how much quicker they're taking it now, as it looks like the rain is easing off slightly. So we're going to go faster and faster, potentially into the 29s. A little bit of a slide on the exit of 3, but he's taking it very nicely. In the wet, you do have to wrestle the car, but you also got to work with it, with the rain. Take the lines right. 31.4 for the first sector. That is indicating purple. As he can get on the power. He has the confidence at the moment he's showing. Going right up to the wall, using all the track possible right there. And he'll finish the middle sector split. What have we seen? 52 sixes, 53s. Well, he's done a 50.8. He's absolutely flying on these inters, and I'm sure the rest will follow. And he's just about kept it valid on that exit. This game does allow you a bit more lenience when it comes to track limits on a lot of tracks. This time he doesn't spin at the 90-degree. 3 corners left for what could be a potential provisional pole lap time. And yeah, Grush was onto something, but I believe he just went a bit too early. A little bit of grass being kicked up there into the final corner. And this does look very promising indeed. We have a yellow at the 90-degree. But Charlie, to come across the line then. A 30.4 is the time to beat. He crosses the line, and he's taken it by 18 thousandths ahead of Navek, who is on the inters, but he's back in the pit lane. Has he got wing damage? We will find out. Yep, there we go. Samurai's on inters. Frosty's still on the wets. Eggy's now switched to the inters. Charlie's teammate is on the inters. Christian as well. Bluey's on the inters. Birdie on inters. And Nathan on the inters. The only one not to set an actual lap time at the moment. As across the line for Birdie. He goes P4 now. The gaps are starting to close in. None of this 5-second stuff. Frosty's still out there on the wets, though. I believe this might be a missed opportunity if he doesn't get back in the pits with 5.5 minutes to go. And the next car in the final sector is Nathan, who I believe is on an outlap. So we'll look back to Frosty, who's down on his time. Let's look at the 2 Saubers as they're swapping. None of them actually on a lap. One's on an outlap, one's on an in-lap. Yeah, the 2 debutant Saubers not looking too bad at the moment. Let's look back to the 2 RBs. Bluey in the middle sector, 52.2. Actually not a bad middle for Bluey. Only lacking a couple seconds off. And Nathan will come around the final corner to begin his lap. What about Eggy? He's still in the pit lane along with Dello. It's taken them quite a while as Charlie's back in. So he's going to do one more run on those inters. And we'll look at his teammate then. Of Josh. Comes across the line then. Let's see what he can do compared to his teammate. You can see that line starting to appear for the drivers. Right up close to track limits there. Has actually taken it slightly better than his teammate. In terms of no loss of the rear. Riding on board with the Sauber then. Heavy braking down to turn 3. And that's Bluey is going up to P6. A gap that was usually anywhere from 3 to 5 seconds. Bluey was behind the pack. Look at that. He's got it under 2. So good on him. Now we see what Josh can do. First sector split, 31.7. It is purple. But it's not actually purple because he's still lacking about 2 or 3 tenths off his teammate. And this is anyone's game. Any second they could cross the line and take pole position. But you can see on the mini-map in the, well, at the bottom right, no one's really about to cross the line yet. 51.2 for the middle sector. His teammate, as he's invalidated, unfortunately. I was going to say Charlie was in the 50s. So Josh has the pace, but he's struggling to finish the lap. Nathan's kept it valid. 2 corners to go then. His teammate's currently 6th. What can Nathan deliver? Who scored points here at Albert Park in the opening race of the season last time out. Had a lot of good solid 7ths and 8ths and the odd 6. Crosses the line. It's P9. And he's been out qualified at the moment by Bluey. But here we go then, round the final corner for a few cars now. We see the Sauber crossing the line. Then we see the McLaren of Christian, who's invalidated. Then we look back to Eggy, who's about to begin his run. 3 minutes left on the clock then. What about the Red Bull of Grush on the intermediates, like he has been all session? But this isn't going to be pole. This isn't going to be a personal best. What about Birdie Saints then? He joined at the halfway point of last season. This is looking like a pretty good lap time. Crosses the line, and he puts the top three within a tenth of one another. Birdie Saints, who I don't even know if he's ever qualified in the top 5 before, let alone the top 3. But that is P3 at the moment, as Dello now begins his lap. This is looking great. I mean, the most experienced driver of these lot is 7th. You know, Bluey's got about 40-ish races under his belt. The top 5, none of them have more than about 15 races in the tier before. The most is Birdie, I think. This is Samurai's first. Well, I guess Samurai's the 4th debutant, technically, but he's been in the league before. Anyway, we look back to the Saubers then. Charlie, this will be his last attempt then. We still have yellows, so we don't really know the time at the moment. What about Josh? He's kept it valid this time, and this is looking like a super lap. Round the final corner for Josh, and he could take provisional pole by quite a few seconds here. Across the line for the Sauber, 2.8 seconds for Josh. It's a Sauber front row lockout. Now what can the rest do? Christian about to begin his lap. What about Eggy round the final corner? Not looking like a bad lap for him as well. The reigning race winner across the line, P2 to split the Saubers. And now we see Grush across the line. What can he do in his debut? 27.5, time to beat. He goes P2, 4 tenths off. As there's still a minute and 10 seconds left. So if he wants to go again, now is his time. But look, I think he's backed off. Same with the RB of Bluey, I believe. Bluey went up to 4th as well. So that's it for them, I think. But Dello now goes on to provisional pole position. And Frosty Life, P10, but obviously he'll get to go again. And across the line for Samurai, he's on his last run too. So Dello never had a pole. IG never had a pole. Grush never had a pole. Eggy obviously got his first win at the finale last season, but he's never been on pole. Bluey's 5th, obviously he's never been on pole. Oh, that's a slide for Navek on his final run, who was first for so long in this session. And that might be 7th the best then, as he has to get out the way of the McLaren of Frosty Life, who's on a good time. But Evan may have held him up there slightly, as we see the 2 Saubers. 3,000ths, Charlie just missed out there. Can he go again, as his teammate is down with 10 seconds to go? Is he going to make it across the line? He should just about be the last car to cross it. 3, 2, 1, and Josh will be the last one over the line then. Here we go. Who's going to take pole for the opening round? Nathan is 11th. Christian makes it the 6th row for them two. Across the line for Eggy. He's only 5th at the moment. And now we'll see Bluey and Grush head into the pit lane. 4th and 6th for them. What can Birdie Saints do then? A 27.1. The track is really ramping up there. This might not be enough for pole position for Birdie, but he's P8 at the moment. He goes P6 in the end. Now we see what Frosty Life can do. Across the line for the McLaren. He takes pole position. Albert Park. Can anyone deny him? Samurai can. He's absolutely blitzed it at the end. Now, only the Saubers can fight that. And look at that. Josh has found time in the first sector. And he's found more time in the middle sector. So close between what was the original top 3 of Frosty, Dello and Charlie, and Samurai's absolutely smashed it right at the end. But the Saubers have their last chance. Is it going to be Samurai or is it going to be Charlie? Across the line for Charlie. P2 misses out by half a second, so it's just IGTC left. And could it be 3 out of 3 debutants in Tier 2 as the 1, 2, 3 for the season opener? At the moment it goes to Samurai unless Josh can do it on debut. A 26.2 is the time to beat across the line. And it's a 26.5. I believe it's a Sauber 2 and 3. Samurai takes pole for the opening round of Tier 2 Season 11. What a qualifying. And the Williams has prevailed on top ahead of both Saubers. Frosty Life 5th. Frosty Life 4th. Dello 5th. Grush 6th. Eggy 7th. Birdie 8th. Bluey 9th. Navik unfortunately couldn't get that last run in, so his best time is still on the wets. As is Christian. And once again, very, very close qualifying at times. And it's Samurai, who was in Tier 1 last season. He's gone to Tier 2. He felt that might suit his pace more. It certainly has. Evan apologising to Frosty Life, and Frosty saying it's all good. It is a dry race then. All right, here we go. Obviously, formation lap is on to calm things down. And yep, with this game, with the tyre wear, who's going to try the 2-stop? Who's going to try the 1-stop? What VSCs or safety cars may interfere? And what tyres will everyone start on? Their fuel loads, their setup tweaks. Tier 2, Season 11, Round 1 on F125 is about to begin. And we've had quite the qualifying where we had, 5-second gaps at the start in full wets, and by the end where the track really ramped up. We really saw it change. And look at that, Samurai making his debut, Josh making his debut, Charlie making his debut, and the top 3 having a great result. Frosty Life, most experienced, second most experienced of all time. 120 odd races in Tier 2. 4th, Dello in his second season. Garouche to make it 4 people making their debut in the top 6. Eggy 7th. Birdie 8th in his second season. Bluey 9th in his, 3rd, I think. As we're going to gear up for the formation lap then. See what tyres everyone's on. Bit of a mix. So yeah, Navik. I think he did 6 races 4 seasons ago. So this is technically, I guess, his debut season or rookie season or whatever. Nathan's approaching 100 races soon. I think he's only got a few to go. And then Christian, he's on about 30 odd races. But yeah, everyone on hard compound tyres apart from Bluey, Dello and Samurai on the medium compound tyres. So who's going to try to go long, try and get a 1-stop working, or who's going to commit to the 2-stop? I've been told apparently there's some new graphics that appear when you spectate, as in comparisons between tyre wear between drivers. And at the moment, hopefully they can all make it around 1 lap without getting disqualified. Yep, Samurai in the Williams then. He's done the job in qualifying of taking pole, but now he needs to maximise. Obviously, he's on the mediums compared to the 3 behind him on hards, so he should have a good enough start to lead into turn 1 and get the season underway. But the Saubers, I'm sure, will be charging and closing up to him in maybe 5 laps time when the hards become a bit better. It is going to be dependent on how much they look after their tyres, but it's also really going to depend on their pace and who has the best pace. Would never discount Frosty Life from going long in a first stint. Dello's been a pretty good starter, and we have about 4 rookies in the field who have already delivered greatly in qualifying, but now they have a 29-lap race ahead of them. To see what they're made of, as I think that's Bluey who's just failed his grid slot. Christian settling in then. And here we go. As we await the 5 lights to come on then, to signal the start of EXFL Tier 2 Season 11 here at Albert Park. It's lights out and away we go. Great start from Samurai then as the 2 Saubers fight away with Frosty Life into turn 1. Dello on the inside, keeping the McLaren keen. Samurai leads then ahead of the 2 Saubers and sliding around. And at the back, Dello's retired. Big crash at the back. He slid as Garouche gets a penalty for colliding with the Ferrari. And I believe that is a VSC to calm things down immediately. We saw, We saw Charlie, I think, spinning into turn 1, sliding. That caught Dello out. Garouche hitting Dello, which I think fully took Dello out. Chaotic start to the race, to the season. And unfortunately, Dello is out of the race and has not even lasted, 400 metres in his debut for Ferrari. Really unfortunate stuff. Grush obviously has a time penalty. And yeah, pretty much everyone gained a place apart from Charlie and Grush. Yeah, it looked like the two Saubers were going to maintain themselves, but then it looked like Charlie just ran too wide. Don't know if he got hit or he slid, and that obviously led to others trying to take avoiding action. And, well, from visually, it looks like Grush's wing is intact, but that has really upset him. Samurai, 1 second gap then, 2. Josh, Frosty's up to 3rd then, as Charlie, even with that slide, is fighting away with Eggy, who started 7th, now fighting him for 4th, wheel to wheel, between the Mercedes and the Sauber, to the inside. Charlie holds him off. And Eggy's going to try around the outside, but Charlie getting his elbows out. We finish the first lap then, as Samurai leads by 7/10 ahead of Josh. Then Frosty Life. Eggy's coming back at Charlie, but Charlie stays in front for now. Later on the brakes, Bluey's up to 6th, as Birdie's fighting with Nathan for 7th, who goes onto the grass there, and Christian's going to try and get past. As into the pit lane, Evan also got caught up in that as well. So yeah, biggest gainer at the moment, Bluey, Nathan and Christian. So we'll just keep it on time pens. Yeah, Christian and Grush both had a 10-second pen, I believe, for hitting someone. Very chaotic stuff then, as I think, yeah, a third of the grid got involved with that. But yeah, Josh not letting Samurai run away with this. Frosty just a bit on his own at the moment. Charlie eking out a bit of a gap to Eggy, who's got Bluey on his sights. Who would have thought you'd see this on the second lap? Eggy versus Bluey. But yeah, he's found some pace from 24 to 25, I think. Yep. So far, very interesting. Birdie just, I think, trying to get some temps in his tyres there, as Nathan keeps with him, and Christian. Grush, obviously, with the spin, a bit on his own, but he might have the pace to close back in. It's not gone well for Evan so far. They've still got a lot of battery, all of them. No one's really blasted too much. I guess Bluey's blasting quite a bit to keep up. So 20.8. Yeah, similar lap times. Look at the top two. They're over a second quicker than the rest. But obviously, as Nathan and Birdie fight away, and Nathan's got ahead of the Alpine as into the pit lane. Christian serving his 10 sec. Obviously, Samurai using those mediums, and with there being 4 DRS zones, more than any other on the calendar, it is allowing Josh to keep with and keep at the pace and save a lot of battery. He's certainly in a great position so far. And Frosty doing what he can, does not have the mediums or DRS to fight these guys. And Charlie, again, just keeping a good gap to Eggy, who's nearly got Bluey out of DRS. Nathan overtaking Birdie, who does have DRS, to close back up to the RB. Which way is he going to go? He's going to go to the right. And can he go round the outside of the RB? He makes slight contact with him. He goes for a slide, and Birdie is back ahead. So we finish the end of lap 3 then. And when does Josh decide to mount an attack on Samurai? Because he knows he's got better tyres soon. And at the moment, bit of a constant gap. It looks like it's quicker driver by quicker driver, because the gaps are just getting bigger and bigger. Eggy's now got Bluey out of a second. Charlie's nearly got Eggy out of a second. And heading into this season, there were the predictions that Eggy could be one to challenge. Samurai could definitely challenge. A few people who aren't here will challenge, such as Yonder and Chubster maybe. So this is not the full picture. This is just a bit of an advantage for those. Yeah, a couple tenths. Josh is close, though, to Samurai. He's blasting his battery. He's got the DRS. Samurai covers the left. He switches to the right. That's lost him a little bit of momentum here. And he's going to stay behind for now. Samurai going defensive and sliding through the fast chicane. Josh doesn't look close enough. And yeah, I'm sure penalties will start to sprout soon, as Eggy is closed right up to the back of Charlie. And is he going to go for it? No. But he puts Charlie under pressure to make him go slightly wide, letting him know he's there. And Bluey has fully fallen off. Obviously, like, I didn't even realise he's on mediums, isn't he? That's why he had a good start. But now his mediums might slowly start to be wearing. Samurai on lap 5 then. Ahead of Josh. Frosty holding on for P3. It's still a solid start to the season for him. Obviously all that chaos happened at the start with Dello and Charlie. It really just looked like a big racing incident. Charlie just went wide. Everyone else tried to avoid. And a few got caught up in it, unfortunately. I'm sure people like Evan and Christian and, well, I say Grush, he's caught up to Nathan already. He's got some really good pace. It's a shame he got caught up in that incident. But yeah, we move back on to the battle for the lead. Josh a bit further behind now. But you can see how much he's gaining on the Williams. But it's not enough. Through the fast chicane, he's going to get a better exit here. Because Samurai hasn't exactly done the greatest line. And wheel to wheel between Charlie and Eggy. Has Eggy got the move done? Just about. The Mercedes ahead of the Sauber. And that was great car placement from the pair of them as Grush gets ahead, round the outside. Doesn't even need the corner to get ahead. He's fully ahead already, ahead of Nathan. Oh, is that another slide for the RB? Really struggling there. As Samurai just keeping ahead of Josh. But yeah, Eggy's up in a 4th now, ahead of Charlie. Frosty, I don't know if that was a mistake or whatnot. But yeah, now Eggy's going to try and see his sets on a podium. Obviously, he finished, 2nd, 3rd here last season. Fighting Drifting and Ridian on the podium. And is this the lap where Josh is close to the plug? He's got a full battery. Martin isn't exactly in a dire situation in terms of battery himself. But he knows his mediums are starting to fall off. And we're going to see in the next few laps who's on the 1-stop, who's on the 2-stop. The 1-stop is obviously quicker, but it depends how much you can look after your tyres. And what was 5 tenths has halved as we head towards the DRS zone. And for the first time in this race, Josh now takes the lead of the Australian Grand Prix ahead of Martin. And Martin's just going to try and stick with him now. But that dirty air is really costing him. And now he's going to feel the full effect of it for the first time. And look at that, Eggy closing the gap to under 2 seconds now, bringing Charlie along with him. Bluey still holding well in 6th. Birdie in 7th, closing up to him. Might get a penalty, I don't know, with the whole Nathan thing. Grush, again, really unfortunate with that 10 second. He's got really strong pace. Nathan now 3 second. And Evan absolutely flying after he made that pit stop. Charlie still putting Eggy on his toes. Samurai has nearly lost a whole second to Josh. But look at that, Josh has blasted his whole battery to try and get him outside of a second. Goes a little deep there at 3. Slides the car. And yeah, you can see 1 second goes down to 9 tenths now. As Martin needs to push to keep within DRS touching distance as they're coming up to the detection point. And it's borderline 1 second. There's the detection. And it is just over a second, now under a second. So it's going to be a bit nip and tuck here if he did get it, which he did. And that's crucial for Martin because you can see just how much he's gaining back now because Josh did not have the battery. Martin gaining, not quite enough. Birdie time pen. This time, the dirty air isn't affecting him. Charlie back in front of Eggy. And now is Martin going to try and get back in front of Josh. Josh leaves in the space to the inside. The two leaders of the Australian Grand Prix swap once again. Martin to the inside has retaken the lead. And Charlie has retaken P4 as they're closing up to Frosty Life. Lap 7, Martin stays out. He's one of the 3 medium runners who started this race. Right onto the grass there is Charlie. Slowing down a bit now. I'll lose him a bit of time there. And Eggy using his chance now. Charlie weaving to let him know he can go. They don't want to lose any time. Yep, that contact is going to lose them a bit of time. Look at that, 1.7 up to 2 seconds now. As we have a yellow, and that is Christian. Off at the fast chicane, really catching people out that part of the track. And yeah, Martin has the battery. And look at that, Josh has saved up enough to be equal with him. Another yellow. Is that Grush? That's Grush around at turn 2. Don't know if he's spun, reset to track. Either way, again, I don't think he's got damage, but that's an unfortunate second part of his race that's been ruined. Anyway, we look back to the front. Samurai still holding on ahead of Josh. Frosty still keeping his toes ahead of Eggy and Charlie. Bluey under pressure from Birdie now. who overtook an RB round the outside. Is he close enough for the move to the inside? Goes Callum versus Bluey, wheel to wheel through the fast chicane. Is he going to get the move done? Bluey decides to go into a different time zone for the corner. And yeah, that's the easiest move Birdie's going to have for a while. Because, yeah, Bluey got his turning all wrong there. So it's P6 now for the Alpine. 1.5 seconds now. Eggy to Frosty Life. And 9 laps in, Samurai's mediums are going to be falling off the cliff now. And look at this. A bit of a train forming. Evans caught right up to Nathan and Grush as well. Closing up too. And could Evan decide to get him on the straight? They're both blasting their battery, but Evan has the DRS to go left. And it's going to be on the racing line. And depends if Nathan brakes. But Evans got the move round the outside. Just keeps on track. Good move from the Aston Martin. As we see the leaders about to swap again. Josh versus Martin. And looks like the Sauber's going to fly past and retake the lead. And look at that. Exactly a second now. Eggy showing some good pace. Ahead of Frosty. Look at that. Low on battery for the McLaren. And Eggy, who started 7th, is going to try and make his way back up onto the podium. Oh, into the wall. Charlie spinning around. He was in 5th. He has wing damage. And now that's going to drop him down. We see a few cars coming towards him. And Birdie may see himself in P5 now. Fully getting out of the way. And Bluey closing up too. Christian with a time pen. And Charlie has wing damage then. And into the pits comes Samurai. And he's going to have to go 19 laps on hards. That is going to be quite the commitment. So Charlie finds himself behind Bluey now. He's going to have to go into the pit lane, change his wing. And that's really unfortunate for him. He has to slow down to not speed, which he doesn't. So that has freed Josh up now. But Martin will be getting quite the undercut. He's come out just in front of Birdie and has DRS. So that was really crucial because look at the free air he has now. A second later, and well, he may have got past Birdie in the DRS, but it could have held him up. Now Martin's going to absolutely be flying. And I guess he can bring Birdie along a little too. Charlie exits the pit lane then in P10. Obviously, everyone is going to be scoring points bar 1. Frosty now under pressure from Eggy, who's within DRS. And Frosty's got all that section quite wrong because you can see how much Eggy's closing in. And you can see Samurai's already gapped Birdie. Bluey not a million miles off. Evan obviously got past Nathan. And, well, he's going to have to pit again pretty soon as well, being on those mediums. And, yeah, we've seen quite a few mistakes at that fast chicane. Nothing that was guaranteed a safety car or VSC or anything. We had one on the opening lap. Whoa. Here we go. Frosty Life defending from Eggy to the inside. Is Eggy going to dare go round the outside? The Mercedes versus the McLaren. Round the outside goes Eggy. Brilliant move from the Mercedes to get ahead of the McLaren. Two of the most experienced in the field now, putting good trust in one another. And Eggy got it perfectly right round the outside. Obviously, he won overtake of the season last time out with that quadruple move in Bahrain. He knows a thing or two about overtaking. And look at that, he's already gapped Frosty, who's really struggling. Maybe he's taken too much life out, trying to push early on. Eggy's looking comfortable at the moment for a podium now. Samurai, 16 seconds off the lead. Obviously, I think this is going to be a case then of Josh putting the mediums on at the end, and he's going to try and hunt down Samurai. But again, we don't know if they're going to pit again. In a 1 or 2 stop. Samurai's pitted 9 laps into the race. That really doesn't seem like a 1-stop decision. So if he has to pit again, he at least has to catch up to Eggy to make sure he hasn't lost too much. Bluey sitting nice in 6th. But Evan has been taking quite a lot out of him as Christian's around. That's a new spot. I think he's damaged his wing, unfortunately. As Frosty into the pit lane. Samurai, fastest lap. Frosty, after 11 and a bit laps, has traded the hards for the medium, so he's definitely doing a 2-stop. Frosty usually does like to extend a first stint. One of the earlier pitters who started on the hards. And you can cut the pit lane exit if you want, but only once in a race. Otherwise, it's going to give you a 10-second time penalty, which won't get removed. Christian with a 3-sec as Bluey pits as well. I don't know if Evan got ahead of him before that. But yeah, Christian's definitely going to need to come into the pits to change his wing as well. And look at that, Eggy. 6.1, now down to 5.4. And we have another yellow. Is that Birdie now? It is Birdie. Oh, that was close. Birdie now with wing damage going into the gravel. Makes sure to rejoin safely as Evan just about avoids Birdie there, who's lost his whole front wing. And he was running in a good position, but now he's also fallen victim to that area of the track as well. Now he's got to make sure his turn-in is all right with no front wing. That was, as now Evan gets the penalty. That was so close to Birdie absolutely wiping out Evan on the rejoin. Very dangerous, but is that, yeah, the leader in. That's Christian exiting the pit lane. Eggy lapping him. So we see Samurai heading into turn 1 then. There's his rival in this race who's pitting for the medium, so he's definitely on a 2-stop, is Josh. And it looks like Samurai's going to be on a 2-stop as well. So it looks like that's what everyone's doing at the moment. Unless, well, Eggy, maybe. Not too sure. He's going to have to go until like lap 16 or something. Birdie speeds at the pit lane. Yeah, in the span of a lap or so, his race has really become undone. Grush finds himself up in 5th, but has a 10-set looming over him. I'm pretty sure this top 4 will be the top 4. Birdie exits the pit lane then. He's going to be in 10th place. At the moment, both RBs scoring points. Charlie looking to make a bit of a comeback here to try and see if he can get back up to 5th. Another yellow. But I think it's just when they exit the pit lane. It's a bit misleading, but yeah. Christian has unlapped himself from Eggy. And if Eggy's in the right position here, could see himself with a bit of DRS. Does Eggy try the gamble of a one-stop race? Because he isn't pitting. And he's going to need to go until at least lap 16, I guess, as Charlie gets past Nathan, heading into the fascia chicane. Yeah, Eggy's going to need to go for at least a few more laps, and with this DRS, that's going to help him a bit. If Samurai doesn't catch him, Eggy's back in this fight. But I don't know, he has to go until like lap 18, really? 19? And can Samurai catch that gap in 5 laps? I'm pretty sure he can. Josh is going to be very quick as well. It's any one of these 3 for the win at the moment. I'm pretty sure these 3 will be the podium. But in what order? Yellow for Evan now. Everyone has, I think everyone but bar the top guys have made a big mistake in this race. Christian, Birdie, Evan. Bluey hasn't really made a mistake. Nathan, he made a bit of a slide. Charlie definitely made a mistake. Grush made a mistake. Frosty, not really. So I guess it's just new game fever, really. It might be their first league race on this game for quite a few. As Bluey now gets a 3-sec. 7th onwards as Bluey's under pressure from Evan, who's closing up. He's got a lot of battery to use and should surely fly past the RB. As this is the closest battle on track. Bluey blasting what's left of his battery. Evan can see he's flashing now. Has got plenty of battery to use if he wants to. Will go around the outside of the RB and clear himself past up into 8th. And next up is the other RB. Evan absolutely flying as he obviously pitted for new hard compound tyres. I think he's going to have to do 3 stops in this Grand Prix. He's right up on the back of Nathan already. As look at that, Samurai was 4 seconds behind, has halved it this time next lap. So if Eggy really is trying the one stop, we've only passed the halfway stage. And Eggy really struggling. You can see Christian down in last. Well, I said he was gapping him, but has slowed down now. I think blue flags have just limited him there. As Nathan, struggling with his gears. Look at those revs. Has lost a place to Evan and his teammate. So Evan finds himself up in 7th. Obviously, Grush hasn't pitted yet, along with Eggy. I think they're the only... Oh, and Nathan. So if Grush is trying the one stop, same with Eggy. Not doing too badly, but look at that, Martin has already nearly caught him. You can just see from the helicopter cameras, that's Christian going off into the gravel, just how much more time Martin's taking out of him. And I'm pretty sure by the time we start lap 17, we're going to have a different leader. The gap was 5.3. It's now down to 3.8. Samurai and Josh clearly showing they've got the pace. Josh, fastest lap of the race at the moment. And if Eggy does decide to pit now, he's going to be very vulnerable at the end of the race on really worn mediums. Really worn hards is one thing, but really worn mediums is a complete other thing he's going to have to deal with. He's got to try and keep going. If he can at least stay ahead of Josh, then he's gained another place from third. And that was a hit into the wall, I think. I heard. May have been Christian. As I'm pretty sure Samurai, with enough battery, can get Eggy, but Eggy's obviously blasting his battery to try and stay ahead as much as possible. Samurai has to be smart here. He doesn't want to lose too much time behind Eggy because he has Josh closing up. And he knows Josh is going to pit pretty soon as Birdie now gets another pen for speeding. Oh, that's Christian onto the grass as well. I believe he might just be moving out the way. Eggy stays ahead. Birdie retires in the pit lane. So that remains... that leaves 10, all getting points. And Eggy holding up Martin. And you can see this 3.8 gap is going to start to go down a bit now. Does Eggy go for one more lap? Or does he decide to pit? He's going for one more lap. And I believe now we might see a change of leadership. Is it going to be before lap 17 starts? Across the line. It's going to be close. And, well, I'm calling it. Martin led that lap ahead of Eggy. And, yeah, you can see Eggy's really struggling. I wouldn't be surprised if he loses a whole second before they get to the middle sector. You can see Josh closing up now. But I'm sure Eggy's done enough. He can pit this lap. And I think he'll be all right. He'll still be struggling at the end. But, I mean, look at the amount of time he's losing. He's definitely brought himself back into play. But it's a risky strategy. Frosty, really on his own, actually. Charlie, still trying to... Well, he will be 5th after Grush pits. And even after he pits again, I think. So it's a good recovery, considering he was 5th when he spun. Top 3. So far, so good on warnings. Christian, not as well. Samurai doing well, though. And, I mean, does Eggy try and go for one more lap? Which one of these is going to pit first is the case. Samurai pitted on lap 9. He's definitely not going to pit. Only 8 laps into a hard stint. And Eggy is coming into the pits then. He's done a really good job to nurse those hards. Doesn't speed. Otherwise, that would undo all his hard work. And Josh will be in soon. He hasn't gained as much as, well, I thought he would on the mediums, showing Samurai has the pace to hold him at bay as those mediums are going to fall off. But Josh will pit first, or similarly close to Samurai now, as hard, medium, medium, hard. You know, they're going to be close. So if Josh does pit, then Samurai needs to pit one lap later, and he's done a pretty good job to hold him off. But if Eggy can get a good enough undercut, he could see himself back in the lead. And this is where the strategy is going to be very interesting. Grush comes into the pit lane to serve his 10-second time penalty. So that frees up Charlie in 5th. Navik back up to 6th. He might have to make one more stop, however. Bluey up to 7th. Oh, no, he's into the pit lane as well. So momentarily 7th, but I believe the Red Bull will be back ahead. So even after all that, Grush is at least 7th. It's a shame we couldn't see what else he could have done today. I know that Samurai pulling away from Josh a little bit now. Very close pace between these two, who are certainly going to be contenders. But obviously, like I said, there's 2 or 3 who are not racing today that definitely should be up there as well. Eggy, 19.6 off the lead. Top 2 stay out. This is Eggy's chance to maximise and capitalise. And where will he catch Frosty as well? Who will definitely have to pit again soon. And then within the next few laps, it really depends with Frosty and Josh, because will they just pit too late? We'll see. It's definitely going to be close. And Eggy, at the moment, not looking too bad, considering if they pit, it's a few laps difference. And as much as that might make the difference, you'd think 5 laps would be big enough as Navik gets past Charlie, who's into the pit lane, to make his final stop. And he should have a big enough deficit to Grush to remain in 6th. He will, definitely. Now under 3 seconds between Samurai and IG. Yellow, however, again, it's just someone leaving the pit lane that for some reason causes yellows. 44.86, Martin still looking comfortable at the moment with his battery, with his pace. And what was 19.6 is 19.5. Eggy isn't really gaining. He is, but not majorly. Remember, he was 1.8 behind Samurai. So this is going to be very close, especially if IG pits 1 lap before Samurai. Then all 3 of them are going to be so close at the end. Frosty, unfortunately, has just found himself a bit in no man's land. Eggy was 3.5 behind, now 2.3. I wonder if Eggy's just trying to nurse his tyres a little, because he knows he's going to be on very worn mediums by the end. And yeah, where he catches Frosty will be quite important. I'm sure this time next lap he will be on the back of him, or at least within a second of him. It looks like IG's lapping about a 10th or so quicker than Samurai on average. You can see those mediums are starting to wear off. And Samurai's hards becoming the better tyres. And he's got track position. And he's pulled away from the Sauber who was fighting him up until the first round of stops. So medium, hard, medium is his way. And hard, medium, medium is Josh's way. And at the moment, it's looking better for Samurai because they're both going to be on the same compound at the end. It really just depends who pits first. And it's going to be Samurai into the pit lane. And Josh stays out. So, what, 11 laps Samurai made those hards last? So, this is going to be very interesting. Eggy has pushed a little harder this lap, I believe. So, it's going to be close. Samurai exits the pit lane then on the medium compound tyres. Eggy's coming around the final corner. Samurai is exiting the pit lane now. And you can see in the background, there's Eggy. And it looks like Samurai may have just covered him off. As Frosty's in between them, Eggy 2 seconds behind the Williams, who's going to go right to the end now on those mediums. And it looks like that may have just solidified the win. Because he's definitely going to gain on Josh. But Eggy will see himself in net second now. And I think it'll be a case of a fight for second, Eggy versus Josh. Because it looks like Samurai has just done enough with the strategy here to really hold on. Eggy does have DRS, so that's going to close him a little bit. The gap's nearly 3 seconds now between them. Eggy pushing. He already made a pretty good move on Frosty once. Frosty looks like he's not going to fight it too much. And for the second time in this race, round the outside goes Eggy. Frosty gives him a bit more of a fight. Bit of a wheel bang, but no love lost. Eggy ahead now, but that did lose him quite a bit. Samurai will get a bit of DRS from a lapped car as well, as Josh is in the pit lane then. And you can see, he's to the left. He's in his box. He's going to exit the pit lane, but it's too late. Samurai is into the lead once again. Josh is going to exit the pit lane behind Eggy, behind Frosty. And he's put the hard compound tyres on. I would have thought for sure he'd put the mediums on. Wow. Frosty gets a time pen, so that guarantees Josh is at least back up in a third. But he's a good 4-ish seconds behind Eggy. Look at that, 5 seconds now. Samurai is absolutely flying with 7 laps to go. And now I guess it's a case of what can Josh do on what I thought would be mediums, but they're going to be hard compound tyres. We've only had one form of safety car today. It was a VSC in the opening 400 metres or so. Unfortunately saw Dello out of the race, and it did affect quite a few drivers as well, such as Grush and Navik. But they've made their way back up pretty well. I mean, Navik has had those hards on for 10 laps. If he pits, he can probably only rejoin in 6, which wouldn't be too bad. He might even be pulling away from Charlie, actually. So Navik's doing a really good job until that slide. Frosty has been overtaken by Josh as he's into the pit lane. And Navik might be time to pit as well. Follow Frosty in. Everyone's behaving themselves in the pit lane entry. No time pens. Frosty pits, and now Navik will pit. Should rejoin in 6th. We'll be actually kind of close with Charlie, but Charlie should be, well, I was going to say a few seconds ahead. Make that probably 5. I think Evans completely messed up the pit entry there. It's reset him. It'll still be kind of close. There's Charlie. There's Evan. Evan exiting out. It's actually going to be really close between these two. Charlie should just be ahead, but not by much. I think Evan had a reset moment, so if he didn't do that, he may have been right with Charlie, but I'm sure he will close up. But not only does he have to overtake him, he needs to get 3 seconds ahead to regain P5. And Frosty out on his own. Holding down 4th. That's where he started. So, yeah, Eggy's done a really good job to be 2nd, but look at that. What was 4 seconds, now 2.5. Josh versus Eggy then. 4 P2 as Samurai has looked in really good control. Josh obviously put him under pressure at the start. Samurai perfected his strategy and is reaping all the rewards at the moment. And Eggy trying his best. He knows those tyres are going to wear at the end. And look at that. Navik has already caught Charlie. Bit of contact, or maybe that was lag. I'm not sure. Definitely wasn't lag, because Charlie has been put into the gravel. So for the 2nd time this evening, Evan has hit someone. First it was Nathan heading into the fast chicane. He's got his battery left on. And now it's Charlie. So don't know if Evan could be seeing a few pens come his way. But I mean, he's got Charlie out of 3 seconds, to be fair to him. But yeah, he closed the gap quite sharply to the left there. And we see Josh now a 2nd behind Eggy, with just over 5 laps to go. And like I said, there's people on vacation and whatnot, missing the opening round or 2 should increase. But I find it kind of funny how 5 years ago, around this time, was the Tier 2's first season at Australia, and we had 12 people. And 5 years later, it's the same thing. But it's been an eventful race nonetheless. A lot of strategy, a lot of overtakes, few mishaps. But it's not over. 5 to go. And it looks like Josh is going to be putting Eggy under pressure. Eggy, who tried the 1-stop, was in 4th. And, I mean, Eggy could pit again if he really wanted to. And, well, I think it's a case of when Josh gets past, not if. Eggy could still hold on to 3rd, I believe. And maybe get a fastest lap point or something, as that goes to Evan at the moment. But, yep, Eggy is going to try as he might. Josh is right on him. And now is going to try and get into P2. They're blasting their battery, the pair of them. Josh finds the gap, uses the DRS to see himself back up into P2. Eggy now in 3rd. Try as he might. Eggy, it's up to him. He has the gap behind to maybe make one more stop. Maybe right at the end. I don't know if he wants to go for softs. I mean, surely he has another set of mediums he can use. But yeah, 8 seconds the gap now between Josh and Samurai. Samurai's mediums might be falling off slightly, and Josh's hards should definitely make it to the end, so that gap might actually close a little. Or might get bigger, don't know. And, well, Evan's flying, he's gapping Charlie. So even if he gets a pen, he should hold him off. If he gets 2 pens, maybe not. And as for RB, 8th and 9th, they'll certainly take that. Bluey is 8th, beating Nathan in the opening round. Bluey has definitely upped his game. What in the... Up until that moment, Bluey has definitely upped his game. But yeah, big mistake there. Has lost him some time. Gap's just kind of staying constant now between these two. So if they were on the same strategy, it could have been a lot closer. They took gambles. All 3 of them, really. three different types of strategy, really. Medium, hard, medium. Hard, medium, hard. And then the one stop of just hard, medium. And we're seeing which one at the moment works. The undercut, very powerful. And if you have the pace, you can hold on. Frosty lapping a second quicker than Eggy this lap so far. And Eggy, well, he can coast home. There's 3 laps to go. He's not going to lose 19 seconds if he decides to back off slightly to save his tyres. He's at least going to hold on for a podium, which will be a 17th podium of his Tier 2 career in his 53rd race. What was it, a 13th P3? I think that's only one off the record. We have a yellow of Christian spinning around between the penultimate and final corner. He should at least finish the race because he'll get a point. But maybe he'll try and go for fastest lap or something. You can see Josh has taken half a second out of Samurai. It's not going to be enough. Navik's closing up on Frosty, actually. He's really fighting the car. He's got 3 laps to do so. He might have a pen or two looming over him, but I don't think he'll care about that. He's really closing up to him. Everyone very gapped to behind. Yeah, Christian has pit for softs. 2 and a bit laps to go then. For Samurai. He, very committed driver. Here's the Williams. Even being one of the slowest in Tier 1 for a lot of races, he still turned up. He still did his best. And even come the finale in Abu Dhabi, he actually showed some really good promise. He's kept the same car from Tier 1 to Tier 2 in the Williams. It suits him. And I'm pretty sure he is loving where he is right now. Making a good decision in the talks in the off-season. And he's in full control. Yeah, like I said, a few people haven't turned up today, which may have given him a bit more of a run. But he's going to start the season off strongly with a first win on debut. It's very rare we see that nowadays. But he's in full control. He's seen the likes of Tier 1. He knows how quick some people can be. And that's maybe helped him a few times. But I'm sure Josh will be giving him a run for his money more. I'm sure Eggy will definitely be doing it. I'm sure Frosty will as well. But he's under pressure from Evan, who's got the DRS. Frosty's blasting all he can, moving this way and that. Evan goes around the outside. Can he make the move stick ahead of Frosty Life? He can. And he is fully clear of the McLaren by the time they exit the fast chicane. So Evan, after an awful start, it's been a really solid drive from him to find his way and to fight his way back up to 4th. And even if he got 10 seconds worth of pens, it would only drop him to 5th. We're on the final lap, though, with Samurai and Josh and Eggy. And yeah, 4th or 5th, it's still been a really good drive from Evan. Charlie will get 6th on debut. Grush will get 7th on debut. The 2 RBs will get a nice amount of points. And both McLarens will be in the points as well. But Samurai has only got 1 set to go now before he can start the season off in tremendous style. Josh, don't know really why he put hards on at the end instead of mediums. But I don't think either way he was going to be able to catch Samurai. He's nailed the strategy. Christian does get the fastest lap right at the end there. 18.6 to Navik's 18.7. But those are for barely any points. For maximum points, it's going to be Samurai round the final corner to start the season off in tremendous style as he slows down to take the checkered flag. Samurai wins the Australian Grand Prix and starts the season off down under with victory. Josh on debut will also make it a 1-2 for the debutants with a great result. Eggy, it's back-to-back podiums and back-to-back podiums in Australia. A 3rd podium in Australia for Sven. Evan will take P4. And look at that, he's gapped Frosty by 5 seconds. So even if he gets a 5-second penalty, I think he's done enough. Nathan is out for some reason. But because Christian's lapped, I don't know. I don't know what on earth has happened to Nathan there. You can see his dot has stopped after turn 3 into 4. Let's quickly go on board with it. He's gone over to the left there. I'm not sure what's happened there. Frosty Life takes 5th though. Charlie on debut at 6th. Grush will come home for 7th on debut. Bluey will pick up points in the first race, which will be great for him. Nathan should have crossed the line in 9th. I mean, Christian's going to be 10th. And Bluey will cross the line. Yeah, very strange from Nathan. But Samurai has won in Melbourne. Great. Didn't even get to see the result. Right. I can interview, well, definitely the top 2. As for Eggy, depends if he goes on his Xbox. The top 2 do not have a mic, so I'll just wait for Eggy. But yeah, next week will be Bahrain. Tomorrow will be Tier 1, streamed by Ridian. Josh saying the wrong strat cost him the win, which could be very true, to be fair. It seemed medium, hard, medium worked better than hard, medium, hard. Very similar pace. I mean, Martin took pole by, was it 4/10 or something? So here we are. Eggy has joined the party. P3 in the race. He's just connecting. Oh, that is so unfortunate. Delo's spun round and he hasn't ghosted, and Christian's hit him and taken his tyre off. Seems like Eggy might be having connection issues. He said he'll restart quickly. But yeah, round 1 of 20. I didn't really mention it. Obviously, it's a shorter calendar this season by 2 races from 22 to 20. A few changes. So I think the biggest shift is Qatar is not the penultimate race. It's like the 5th race now. Back-to-back Italy races, round 6 and 7, I believe, at Imola in Italy. Back-to-back US races, Vegas, then Texas. We've re-swapped Hungary and Belgium because Belgium then Hungary doesn't really look as nice. So yeah, it should be an exciting season ahead, and should grow from 12 onwards. There we go, Eggy's joined. I think it's working. There we go. Give me a sec. Are you able to include your audio? Alright, cool. Alright, Eggy, hello. That is P3 today. That is your 3rd podium at Australia now. Always starting off the season pretty well. Obviously, after the high end of last season, you came into this season looking pretty strong. It was P7 in qualifying, and then you gambled with a 1-stop that saw you on the podium. Just take us through qualifying and the race in your eyes.
Yeah, I mean, quality has always been a bit of my weak point, and in the wet, I don't know, wasn't that great. And yeah, I just tried to do something different and yeah, figure some stuff out about the new game. And yeah, in the end, podium is okay. I was guessing P2 was possible, but yeah, I mean, it's all right.
Yeah, was the one stop always the case from the start of the race, or did you just take a risk or a gamble with that?
I was planning to try it from the start, um, just to see how it compares to the two stop. But yeah, so from this race, I don't think there's a huge difference because on pace, I guess I was slower than P1 and P2. So yeah,
That's fair. Your POV of the opening lap heading into turn one, what did you see happen?
uh, yeah, I was on the outside and I just saw, uh, I don't remember, Charlie, or I don't know, who hit
Yeah,
Dello.
Charlie.
Yeah, and yeah, I was just going across the grass because I was pretty sure they're not gonna go. So yeah, I took no risk, and that's it basically.
Fair enough. And then you had some pretty good pace in the first few laps to make your way up past a few cars. Saw yourself in fifth, and then Charlie behind you spun.
Yeah.
So then you fought Frosty Life a few times in that race. I think twice you overtook him. The first one was really nice around the outside, heading into turn one.
Mhm.
And then the second time, I think he got hooked on your tyre a little, so that sent him a bit to the right. But both times were fine. Um, I was saying in the last few laps, because your mediums may have been struggling, you had a 20-second gap to Frosty. Was there no thought to maybe pit right at the end for maybe go for fastest lap?
No, not really. I mean, is there a point for fastest lap?
No, there isn't.
So I don't know. No, not really.
All right, fair enough. So well done today. Yeah, Martin winning, Josh second, and Eggy third. Strong start. Obviously, like I've been saying, pretty much all stream. Obviously, a few didn't turn up today, but they'll be back in the coming weeks. So this is a good head start for you and a few others.
Yep.
Obviously, your teammate Chubster. Hopefully, we'll be back in, I think, next week or maybe the week after. But yeah, heading into Japan, how are you feeling about the revamped Suzuka circuit?
Uh, I'm excited to see what's possible with the new LiDAR scan track, but in the past, not been great, honestly.
That's fair. We'll just see what happens. Obviously, today has answered a few of the unknowns, but obviously not everyone major put their performance down. So there are still a few question marks in the end. I'm sure in the next 2-3 races we'll get those answers to see just where everyone's fitting into the order. Obviously, we know your consistency and pace is good enough. Obviously, in that three-way title fight last season, you managed to beat one of them
No.
in the end. So, and like I said, if we remove everyone who got promoted, you are technically the favourite heading in, but there are obviously a few who are starting their Tier 2 career this season, and clearly they've laid down their markers. So, yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what they can achieve, what you can achieve. Like I said, your 17th podium now, so that definitely puts you, I think, third or fourth in the all-time list. So well done on that. And yeah, on to Japan. See you in a week. Alright, that has been the Australian Grand Prix, round 1 of 20 for Tier 2 Season 11. Like I said, Tier 1 Australia will be tomorrow, same time. And yeah, Japan next week. Very eventful opening race, and I'm sure it will only get better from here.